Hello there, friend. If you've ever looked around your cozy little home and thought, I wish I had more space for a garden, let me tell you, you absolutely do. Even if your yard is a windowsill and your tool shed is the kitchen drawer, there's room to grow. Over the years, I've learned that gardening isn't about acreage, it's about heart. And a whole lot of that heart can bloom indoors with a dash of creativity and a sprinkle of old-fashioned wisdom. You see, sometimes the best gardens aren't in sprawling fields but tucked inside chipped teacups, hanging from coat hooks, or growing wild in a once-forgotten boot. Especially for those of us in our golden years, a garden inside the home means beauty right where we are, no bending, no fuss, just joy within arm's reach. In this little guide, we'll explore 12 clever, gentle ways to turn everyday household items into blooming treasures. We'll dust off the memories, tuck in a few plants, and watch the magic unfold. So put the kettle on, settle into your favorite chair, and let's grow something beautiful together. 1. The Suitcase Garden, Packing Memories with Petunias. Now here's a story that might sound familiar. Somewhere in the back of your closet, under a few winter coats or tucked behind the holiday decorations, there's likely an old suitcase. Maybe it went with you on your honeymoon, or held your child's clothes during a summer trip to the lake. Its handle is worn, the corners scuffed, and it probably hasn't traveled in years. But that doesn't mean its journey is over. Instead of letting it sit in the shadows, why not let it bloom in the sunlight? Turning a vintage suitcase into an indoor garden is easier than you might think, and it brings a whole lot of charm to even the smallest space. All you need is a liner, a plastic trash bag works just fine, some potting soil, and a few of your favorite plants. Pansies, petunias, even a little patch of lavender, they all nestle nicely inside. Just make sure to leave the lid propped open a bit so the plants can breathe, or close it halfway for a whimsical look that invites curiosity. Set your suitcase on a side table by a sunny window, or prop it open on the floor in a bright corner. Every time you walk by, you'll not only smell the fresh green life, it'll bring a smile as you remember where that suitcase once took you. And here's the beauty of it, it's raised off the ground, easy to reach, and needs no heavy lifting or kneeling. For those of us who've downsized or simplified, this little garden is proof that you don't need a yard to grow something meaningful. You just need a story, a little soil, and the willingness to see old things in a new way. And maybe, just maybe, the next time your grandchildren visit, they'll point at it and ask, "Where did you go with that suitcase, Grandma?" And just like that, the garden becomes a conversation, a memory, and a blooming piece of you. 2. Tin Windowsill Garden, Sipping the Past, Growing the Present. Let's take a step into the kitchen, where memory and comfort often live side by side. Perhaps on a high shelf or tucked behind the sugar jar, there's an old tea tin or two. You know the kind, floral patterns, delicate gold trim, maybe even a dent or two from years of reaching and brewing. They once held Earl Grey or chamomile, maybe cinnamon sticks or stray buttons that had no other home. Now, they can hold something even more delightful, a windowsill garden. These tins, charming in just the right size, make perfect little planters for herbs and small flowers. Line the inside with a bit of plastic if you're worried about leaks, then add a scoop of good soil and nestle in sprigs of basil, mint, thyme, or if you fancy a little color, pansies or sweet alyssum. Set them on your windowsill, especially one that gets morning sun. With the light streaming through and the soft scent of herbs in the air, your kitchen will feel just a bit more alive. One of the loveliest things about this kind of indoor gardening is how gentle it is. No bending, no mess. You can water your plants with a teacup and snip a few leaves with scissors while supper simmers on the stove. It's a garden that stays within reach, especially for those of us who might not move as quickly as we used to. And more than that, it's deeply personal. Every time you see those tins, you'll remember quiet breakfasts, the clink of a teaspoon, the comfort of shared moments. It's not just a way to grow herbs, it's a way to keep family close, to honor the little rituals that made a house feel like home. So if you've got an old tea tin tucked away somewhere, bring it out. Let it bloom. Because sometimes, the smallest gardens hold the most love. 3. Hanging Shoe Organizer, a garden that rises to greet you. Now here's a clever little secret. Especially for those of us working with small spaces or sore knees, the humble hanging shoe organizer. You might have one in the back of a closet, once used to hold slippers or scarves. It's nothing fancy, just a row of fabric pockets, but oh, what a treasure it becomes with a bit of imagination. Instead of holding shoes, it can hold a dozen tiny gardens. Hang it on the back of a door, along a balcony railing, or on a sunny indoor wall. Each pocket is the perfect size for herbs like parsley, basil, or chives. You can even tuck in small flowers, marigolds, pansies, or trailing ivy. Line the pockets with a bit of plastic or coconut fiber if they're thin, add soil, and plant your seeds or starter plants. Water gently, just a teacup's worth at a time. The beauty of this setup is in the height. No need to crouch or dig. Everything is right there, at eye level, at arm's reach, and easy to care for. It's ideal for anyone who prefers to garden standing up or seated comfortably. And because it's vertical, it takes up almost no floor space at all. I first saw this idea at my friend Eleanor's apartment. She had it hanging on her back porch, every pocket bursting with green. It looked like a living patchwork quilt, stitched together with flavor and color. She told me she hadn't felt so proud of a garden in years, not because it was big, but because it was hers, and it was growing right alongside her. Sometimes, the most useful tools aren't the ones from the store, they're the ones we already have, just waiting to be seen in a new light. So take a second look around. That old organizer might be ready for a second life, a blooming, fragrant, delicious one. 4. The Colander Planter, a kitchen classic turned garden gem. Let's step back into the kitchen again, shall we? There's a certain kind of charm in old kitchen tools, especially the kind that once strained spaghetti or rinsed garden-picked lettuce. I'm talking about the humble colander. Sturdy, speckled, often with little handles on the side, it's a kitchen staple, yes, but it's also one of the easiest, most delightful things to turn into a planter. Colanders are made for gardening and they don't even know it. The holes in the bottom offer perfect drainage, which plants love. The handles? Well, they make hanging a breeze. Whether it's an old enamel one with chips around the rim, or a metal one that's seen better days, all it needs is a little lining. Use a coffee filter, a scrap of burlap, or even some coconut coir to keep the soil from slipping through the holes. Then comes the fun part, filling it. Trailing petunias, cheerful pansies, even strawberries if you're feeling fancy. You can hang the colander from a porch beam, a shepherd's hook, or even a sturdy kitchen curtain rod if you're keeping your garden indoors. When the plants begin to spill over the sides, it looks like the whole thing is overflowing with life. It's a wonderful option for those of us who want beauty without the bending. And because it's compact, it's perfect for small spaces, a sunny corner, a covered patio, or a little spot by the window. But it's more than just practical. A colander planter carries a whisper of the past, Sunday dinners, homemade meals, hands rinsing vegetables at the sink. It turns something ordinary into something soulful. And every time you water it, you'll be feeding a memory as well as a plant. So the next time you're about to toss an old colander, think again. It might just be the perfect piece to help your garden grow, in spirit and in bloom. 5. Mason jars with a purpose, gardens that catch the light. Now, if you're anything like me, you've got a shelf or two filled with empty mason jars. Some were once home to strawberry jam or pickled beets. Others may have held buttons, marbles, or even screws and nails over the years. These jars, clear and simple, carry a quiet beauty. And now, they can carry something even more delightful: living, growing plants. Mason jars make excellent little gardens, especially for indoor spaces where sunlight streams through the glass. They don't take up much room and can be placed just about anywhere: a windowsill, a shelf, a kitchen counter. And when the sunlight hits them just right, the whole room seems to glow. Start by adding a layer of small pebbles or gravel at the bottom for drainage. Since jars don't have holes, this helps keep the roots from sitting in water. Then add potting soil and tuck in something small and lovely. Herbs like thyme, oregano, or basil grow beautifully in jars. Or try succulents if you want something especially low maintenance. If you'd like to get creative, tie a bit of twine or ribbon around the rim. You can even hang them using simple hooks and wire, just like lanterns that hold greenery instead of flame. One of my favorite things about mason jar gardens is how easy they are to move. If the sun shifts, just scoot the jar to a brighter spot. If your hands aren't as steady as they once were, these lightweight jars are easy to handle, water, and rearrange. And they make lovely gifts too, a little pot of rosemary in a jar, tied with a tag and a story. These jars have held preserves in seasons gone by. Now they can hold something fresh, something blooming, something that reminds you each day there's always light to be found, even in the smallest container. 6. The ladder garden, climbing toward calm in small spaces. Let me ask you something. Do you have an old wooden ladder stashed away somewhere? Maybe it's a little too wobbly for climbing these days. Or maybe it's just leaning quietly in the garage, waiting for its next purpose. Well, I'll tell you, few things bring charm and function together quite like a ladder-turned garden. This idea is perfect for those of us who don't want to bend or stoop but still love to see life blooming all around us. A wooden ladder, especially the old kind with a bit of paint worn away, can become a beautiful tiered plant stand, bringing your garden up to eye level and your memories along with it. Start by giving it a good clean, and if you like, a gentle sanding. You can paint it, or leave it weathered for that lovely vintage look. Then, simply set pots on each step. That's it. Herbs like rosemary and sage on one rung, cheerful flowers like begonias or geraniums on another. You can even hang small baskets from the sides if you're feeling fancy. It takes up barely any floor space, but offers so much growing room. You can place your ladder garden in a sunny corner of the living room, next to a window, or out on a small balcony or patio. And because everything is right there in front of you, there's no crouching, no reaching deep into garden beds, just gentle, joyful tending. Every time I see a ladder garden, I think about how we're all still growing, just in a different direction now. We don't need to climb it anymore. We just need to let it hold the beauty we've cultivated over the years. So if you've got an old ladder waiting in the wings, bring it into the light. Let it carry blooms instead of burdens. Let it be a stairway not to a roof, but to something blooming, peaceful, and entirely yours. 7. The drawer garden, letting old furniture bloom again. Somewhere in your attic or garage, there's probably a dresser drawer that's seen better days. Maybe the knobs are missing, maybe the bottom is a little loose, or maybe it once held baby clothes, handwritten letters, or wool socks folded just right. These drawers, once part of our everyday rhythm, don't have to be tucked away or tossed out. With a little care, they can become beautiful indoor planters, full of life, color, and stories still worth telling. Start by giving the drawer a gentle clean. If the wood is solid, you won't need to do much. Maybe a fresh coat of paint if you'd like to add some brightness or a soft vintage touch. Line the inside with a bit of plastic, just to keep any water from soaking through, then add soil and your favorite plants. You can place a single large bloom in the center or cluster smaller ones like violets, begonias, or even trailing ivy to spill over the edges. Now, here's where it gets creative. Tilt the drawer slightly, prop it up with a brick or a wooden block, or stack a few drawers like steps for a layered cascading garden. If you're short on floor space, place just one by a sunny window or tuck it into a quiet corner of your living room. The beauty of drawer gardens is how personal they feel. You're not just planting flowers, you're giving a second life to something that once held part of yours. Every time you water it, you'll remember the hands that opened and closed that drawer, the years it stood by your bedside or sat at the end of the hall. And for those of us who appreciate comfort and meaning in equal measure, this kind of project is a gentle reminder. Things don't have to be perfect to be beautiful. In fact, sometimes it's the cracks and scratches that make them truly special. 8. Upcycled wine bottles, a border that glows with grace. Now, you might be surprised by this one. But the next time you finish a bottle of wine, or even find one tucked away in the back of the cupboard, don't toss it. Those glass bottles, especially the colored ones in greens, blues, and ambers, can become one of the most striking features in your indoor garden. One lovely way to use them is as a garden border or edging, yes, even indoors. If you have a large planter box, or a repurposed drawer or crate acting as your indoor flower bed, line the edge with upturned bottles. Press them neck down into the soil or secure them gently in place with sand or stones around the base. When the light from a window hits them just right, they glow like stained glass, adding a quiet kind of magic to your room. You can also use wine bottles as upright vases for single-stem blooms or propagation jars for cuttings. Just fill with water and place a snip of pothos, mint, or coleus inside, and watch the roots curl and stretch day by day. It's a peaceful little ritual, checking the progress each morning with your cup of tea in hand. And for those feeling especially creative, turn a wine bottle into a self-watering planter. Insert it upside down into a pot of soil after filling it with water, just the neck, so it slowly releases moisture to the plant. It's simple, effective, and surprisingly beautiful. Wine bottles remind us of celebration, of quiet dinners and toasts with dear friends. When we reuse them this way, we're not only reducing waste, we're keeping the warmth of those memories alive, letting them shimmer beside our growing greens. So the next time you enjoy a glass of wine, smile and save the bottle. Because in a tiny garden, even glass can bloom. 9. Tin Can Lantern Planters. Light and life in one little package. You know those old soup or coffee tins that most folks toss into the recycling bin without a second thought? Well, with a little imagination, they can become something truly special, a glowing planter that brings both warmth and greenery into your home. This idea is part lantern, part garden, and all charm. Start with a clean tin can, any size will do. Using a nail and hammer or even a hand drill if you're comfortable, punch small holes in the sides. You can make simple patterns like dots, stars, or little swirls. They don't have to be perfect. In fact, a little wobble here and there just adds character. Paint the outside if you like, soft gold, rustic red, or whatever color brings you joy. Then, tuck a tea light inside. Battery-powered ones are safer and easier, and just like that, you've made a lantern. Now here's where the garden comes in. Fill the top of the can with a shallow planting, something that doesn't mind a bit of heat and has shallow roots. Succulents work wonderfully. So do small herbs like thyme or oregano. If you prefer, you can skip the candle altogether and just use the can as a planter on its own. Place a few of these on a windowsill, a bookshelf, or your kitchen counter. When the soft light flickers through the tiny holes and dances across the room, it's like a little reminder that beauty doesn't have to be big. It just has to be sincere. And for those of us who spend more evenings indoors these days, these tin can lanterns offer a cozy kind of comfort, a garden that glows quietly, just for you. Because sometimes, especially as we grow older, it's the gentle light and the small blooms that feel the most meaningful. 10. Repurposed picture frames, turning walls into living art. Now here's an idea that brings both creativity and greenery together in the loveliest way. Do you have an old picture frame lying around? Maybe one that used to hold a family photo or a watercolor from a flea market? Perhaps the glass is long gone or the backing has worn thin. Well, don't throw it away just yet. That empty frame can become something new, a vertical planter that turns your wall into a piece of living art. Start with a wooden frame, any size you like. Remove all the old hardware until you're left with just the border. You can paint it or leave it as is for a rustic look. Then, stretch a piece of wire mesh or chicken wire across the back and staple it in place. This becomes your planting grid. Now take small containers, tiny pots, mason jars, or even little burlap pouches, and attach them to the mesh using wire or twist ties. In each pocket, tuck a bit of soil and a small plant. Succulents are perfect for this, but herbs like basil or mint also work well indoors. The effect is charming, a window of greenery that changes and grows with the seasons. Hang your frame near a sunny window or in a well-lit hallway. And the best part? It's up high, easy to tend, and doesn't take up a single inch of floor space, ideal for anyone working with a small room or limited mobility. Every time you walk by, it's like being greeted by a gallery of life. Instead of painted flowers, you've got real ones. Instead of a static picture, you've got something growing, changing, and offering its quiet presence day after day. It's a gentle reminder that beauty isn't just found in photographs or paintings. Sometimes, it's in the soft curve of a leaf, the quiet strength of a stem, or the little bit of joy that grows right on your wall. 11. The wooden crate garden, rustic roots with a modern twist. There's something wonderfully dependable about an old wooden crate. Maybe it once held apples from the farmer's market or bottles of milk from the doorstep. The wood is worn, the corners might be a bit frayed, but goodness, it still has life left in it. And with just a little effort, that simple box can become a beautiful, functional indoor garden. Wooden crates make excellent raised planters, especially for seniors or anyone who prefers not to kneel or bend too far. Place one near a bright window, line the inside with plastic or a heavy-duty trash bag to catch any moisture, and fill it with potting soil. From there, the possibilities are wide open: leafy greens like spinach or lettuce, a fragrant mix of herbs, or even flowers like violas and nasturtiums that brighten up the room with very little care. If you're short on space, stack a couple of crates like shelves. One can hold plants, while another stores your gardening tools or watering can. You can even put wheels on the bottom if you'd like to roll it toward the sunlight during the day. No lifting, no fuss. This kind of garden feels solid, grounded, and deeply familiar. There's something about working with wood that just feels right. It connects us back to a time when things were built to last, when you grew your own herbs not because it was trendy, but because it was simply the way things were done. And best of all, crates are easy to find. Maybe you already have one, or maybe your local thrift shop or market does. With just a bit of love and a few seeds, that old crate can become the heart of your indoor garden, a sturdy little box of life, sitting quietly and blooming day after day. Because sometimes, the simplest things carry the deepest comfort. And a wooden crate filled with green? That's comfort you can grow. 12. Teacup Gardens, a sip of beauty on every shelf. Now this one might just be my favorite. There's something special about a teacup, not just because of the tea it once held, but because of the hands that passed it, the stories told between sips, and the quiet comfort it offered. Over the years, many of us have collected mismatched cups and saucers, some chipped, some lonely without their set, but all too dear to throw away. Well, what if those teacups could bloom again? Teacups make perfect miniature planters, especially for indoor spaces. Their small size makes them ideal for windowsills, shelves, or tabletops where just a touch of green can brighten the room. No heavy lifting, no big setup, just a gentle reminder that beauty often comes in the smallest packages. Start by adding a few pebbles to the bottom of the cup for drainage. You can skip drilling holes, especially if you want to preserve the cup's charm. Just be careful not to overwater. Fill the rest with potting soil and plant something petite, a sprig of lavender, a tiny succulent, a cheerful pansy, or even a trailing string of hearts that will spill over the edge like a little green waterfall. Line them up in your kitchen window or cluster them on a tray near your reading chair. Each one becomes a tiny memory garden, filled with color, scent, and a soft touch of the past. If you still have your mother's or grandmother's china, planting in those pieces can feel like a continuation of their story, blooming gently in your care. And because they're so light and easy to handle, teacup gardens are perfect for those of us who like to garden without strain. No bending, no digging, just a bit of potting mix, a pinch of patience, and the joy of seeing something come to life right before your eyes. So next time you see a forgotten teacup tucked in the back of a cabinet, bring it out. Let it hold something more than dust. Let it hold life. A sip of beauty, right where you need it. Write in the comments what is the most unexpected object you have ever turned into a planter. Is there something in your home that is just waiting to bloom again? If you enjoyed these ideas and you're feeling inspired to start, or grow, your own indoor garden, I'd be so grateful if you'd give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It helps more folks like us find comfort, joy, and gentle inspiration in their golden years.